Welcome back to the special transmission on election day of PTV World. I'm your host Sana Makbul, and of course, as you know, the official polling time for the general elections have ended at 6 p.m. Those voters who are already present in the polling stations will be allowed to cast their vote. This is, of course, the permission that has been granted by the Election Commission of Pakistan. An extension was asked from different political parties. However, that was earlier rejected by the Election Commission of Pakistan, as an hour extension had already been given since the polling time concluded at 6 p.m. However, all those voters who are lucky enough to have reached the polling station's premises inside are going to be allowed to cast their votes. And of course, all the rest of the 106 million registered voters and the number of voters who actually did turn up to cast their votes are lucky enough to have done so already. Of course, this is extremely important as it is the national responsibility of every citizen to cast their votes. Although there were some problems in a lot of polling stations regarding slow polling pace, however, the time of the official polling has now ended, and the number of votes that are going to be cast for these elections will be the ones who have already done so. We will continue our discussion, of course, on the polling day today and how this entire polling process has so far transpired in the country with our guests in the studio. Thank you very much. Of course, you guys have been here before also, and we have talked a lot about the situation in the country, the political situation, and of course, the way the election process has so far turned out to be. Now that the polling time has concluded, if we take a look back at the entire process up to the elections and the polling day today also, how do you see it markedly different in terms of voter turnout or the conduct of the polling stations and the ECP as compared to the previous election?
As we were already talking on this issue, that there are a lot of grooming now we have, which is very visible now in this election. And because the staff, the citizens, voters, and institutions, like you see, judiciary, we did not talk about judiciary because judiciary has played a very, very important role because they dispose of the cases, election petitions very timely.
Right.
And the judiciary was also, after the providing full support to the Election Commission of Pakistan to conduct these elections fairly and in transparent manner. And I must appreciate that all the institutions, including civil and military armed forces, judiciary, Election Commission of Pakistan, police, and other institutions, they were all on one page, including you see that caretaker, of course, caretaker setup, because it was their prime responsibility and core responsibility to conduct fair and transparent elections. So this is whatever we have seen today and observed today in today's election, because that phase has been completed, and now the counting of voting has been started and will be starting soon. If there are some more, you see, voters still inside the premises, they are going to cast vote, and there will be counting of votes, and thereafter the results will be prepared and will be sent to returning officers. So the whole process is actually blend of, you see, lot of, you see, experience of previous elections. And I must say that all the institutions, the people who are serving there, and the citizens of Pakistan, and especially voters, I must say that they have seen the previous two elections, 2008 and 2013, and now this is third election, which has been conducted after you see completing of the tenure of the Parliament or National Assembly. So when the systems are matured and the voters are more matured, and especially youth of Pakistan played a very positive role in it, and a very active role, and especially if we say that if we see the postings on social media, and if we see the over media channels, news channels, they also played their staff, their people who were in, you see, field, and in this, especially in this very, you see, very hot season and humid season, they played their role and they covered the activities of election.
Right. Of course, we also see that the ECP has emphasized a lot on the fact that it's made a lot of preparations, and we see that these elections have been the most expensive so far, also with about 21 billion spent on them. But keeping in mind all of this and the preparations that were made before, and the fact that even the days leading up to the elections were tainted by a bloody campaign trail with a lot of incidents which were going to deter the democratic process. Of course, we've established that we have conducted the elections on time, and now the polling has successfully concluded as well. But do you see the incidents that happened in Quetta and Larkana today also as something, as a significant impact on the way the election process is conducted? Or do you think that overall the election process has been smooth as compared to the previous ones? Osama.
As far as these isolated incidents are concerned, they're condemnable. They should not have happened. It's unfortunate that they did. But obviously there are elements within Pakistan, whether they are backed by external elements or whether they have their own differences with the state of Pakistan. The idea is you cannot fight the state. Pakistan has successfully fought the war on terror. I think we have swept terrorism out of this country.
Right.
And there obviously would be elements within the society who are not too comfortable with that. But Pakistan has remained committed. The state of Pakistan as well as the military of Pakistan has remained committed. As we were discussing in the previous half of the program, the people this time around had more confidence. They could freely walk out without fearing for their lives. The couple of incidents, the isolated incidents which have happened, it's unfortunate. But I think we are a very resilient nation. We have been through a lot. Loss of even a single life is not acceptable to us. But I think if you compare it to the previous elections, the loss of life or the loss of property or the loss to the state has generally been reduced.
Right.
These elections have been well managed. As you pointed out, a record amount has been spent this time round. Obviously, there's room for improvement. We can't compete with the Western democracies even in today's date. This is a process. This is an evolution. We will have to go through this process. There's only the third time round that one democratically elected government is going to follow its predecessor. We need time. We are getting there. And I think the entire state apparatus has remained committed. We were pointing out for example, the efforts of the caretaker government, as well as the role of the ECP.
Of course,
and
yes.
NADRA, what they have done for that matter, and the army being called in to provide security under Article 245 of the Constitution. I
Right.
think the entire state amalgamated has made this possible on today's date. And I think we should congratulate the people of Pakistan who have been a part of this historic process. And I think this is one day that they will remember for the rest of their lives.
And if we continue talking about the ECP's preparations and NADRA, like you mentioned also, and of course the fact that now the polling time has concluded and eventually the compilation of results will start, we also see, Mr. Qamar, that this time around a new compilation system has also been introduced by the ECP in collaboration with NADRA. It's a two-tier system with a results transmission and result management system. How do you see that this is going to benefit and help in terms of transparency of vote counting and also the efficiency?
Well, I think back in 2013, there were a lot of issues which were raised as far as the issues regarding the transparency was concerned, because those who were involved in the election process, the candidates and the polling agents, they were not happy that the way things were being transferred to the Election Commission of Pakistan. So I think there was no choice but to get connected to the information technology, to the IT, and NADRA. Unfortunately, we have this, the problem of big data in this country. So I think the NADRA has helped Election Commission because they only had this power of big data. So they helped Election Commission in bringing this more transparency and accountability in the process. So more transparency, more accountability, so these slogans will not be chanted after the elections are done. Like, for example, Imran Khan, after 2014, what he was doing, he created all mess in this country. Although his position was right or wrong, that is something else. But I think had there been more transparency in counting votes, or had there not been malpractices during all that procedure when it was going on, the election procedure, things might not have reached. So I think this is the Election Commission and its the other organs of the state. Their job was to make the utmost effort to have more transparent election. I think this election, in that regard, will be considered as a transparent election where the IT has been involved, where the other institutions, along with the ECP, they are working with the ECP, so that Election Commission of Pakistan, so that everyone in this country believe that to whom I have voted, that vote comes out of that box. So that particular
and of course that you rightly pointed out that it is a collaboration and a cooperative measure for the institutions who are working together to ensure that these elections are free, fair and transparent. And an important role is also played by the media institutions. We've seen incidents today where media talks of certain political leaders were aired, and of course the whole incident where Imran Khan's voter secrecy was compromised. I was listening to what you were earlier saying, Osama, about how maybe the sanctity of the vote is compromised and perhaps not the secrecy. But don't you think that the responsibility also lies with the leader and not just the media in terms of ensuring that no incident happens which can be easily pointed out?
Sana, the thing is, I walked into the polling station today. I went through an entire process. I had to go collect the receipt, then walk in. I was guided to a table. I handed them the receipt. Now, it's the responsibility of the staff present there to treat everyone equally, whether you feel that someone might be the candidate to be the premier of this country, or whether someone is an ordinary voter. It was the responsibility of the staff to direct him towards the booth, as I was directed and as everyone else was directed.
But isn't it also the responsibility of a political leader also to be aware of how the whole entire electoral process
No, absolutely. See, when I went there, I was handed a stamp. I was told to walk that way. When he was handed the stamp, I've seen the footage of that. He was told to just, stamp it there and then.
Right, I understand that.
You understand that. So I think there's an aspect of contributory negligence, as you would say in law.
Yes, but
the media should not have covered that.
It becomes more prominent when it comes from a political leader who is vying for a particular position rather than the polling staff.
I think it was an innocent mistake which happened just in the course of time. It wasn't deliberate. It was not meant to jeopardize the sanctity of the vote or the secrecy of the vote. As I previously pointed out, it was an open secret he was going to vote for himself. So no surprises there.
Right. Okay. Well, continuing with the fact that media has an important role to play in part of the elections process, it also has an important role regarding creating awareness among the masses of the importance of their vote. We've seen the highest voter turnout back in 2013. We still have to know what the voter turnout is so far in these elections. But we have seen a large number of undecided voters and a large number of voters talking about their vote not being respected, which is why perhaps they do not want to cast their vote. How do you see that media playing its role in terms of encouraging the people to cast their votes and benefit the country?
I feel very much positive about this because this time you see that voters were especially, were more aware of that their responsibility, and media played very positive role, and no doubt they tried to cover all areas. If you see that they went to Balochistan area, they went to hilly area, they went to urban areas, they went to village side, they covered all the areas and went there, and the different programs were being telecasted on media, and all the channels they did that and tried to gather the public opinion as well. Actually, you see that in past, if we say that not 2013 but before that, there was election was just like a fun, you see, and generally people, they had this type of opinion that their vote will not make any difference whether they were cast or not, and that was the reason that most of the people, they don't opt to go to the polling station and cast their vote. But in 2013, that was very good and turnout was good, and I'm sure that this time in this election, when the results will be announced and shared with the media, I'm sure that the turnout will be more improved as compared to 2013. So this is all because of media, and because in 2008 there were very less coverage of the media, and in 2013 there were more news channels, and that was beginning of news channels, and the staff and the cameramen and the journalists of media, they had also need of grooming and training, which they have got now, and they are groomed, and we can see that the journalists, they started their career before 2013, and during those days the program, they were being conducted and being shown on TV channels. Now the quality of those programs is very much improved.
Right.
And they seem more mature. And this is all because without the support and efforts of media, it is very difficult to groom general public. And at the same time, then we must talk about social media. That's you see that a free type of media, because where there are more viewership is as compared to other channels. There's no need of there's just need of connection of internet. So the youngsters, the people of all ages, know they are using those. You see, and especially Twitter, you see that we see that everyone is writing one single sentence and is giving his opinion and giving his point of view on media. So that also groom people, and now.
Right, of course, and even this time around, when we see the voter turnout, we see a large number of female participation, especially in areas where we haven't seen the women coming out and vote, in areas like North Waziristan or Peshawar or Chakwal, which is something that is, of course, very encouraging to see. But in terms of the general perception regarding women, especially in these areas, coming out and vote, do you see that also changing in the country, Mr. Kamal?
Well, I think definitely we'll have to look things in a different way. For example, in urban area where the women have more information and they have more access to information, there have been certain trends like her vote. They have been on Twitter. People have been tweeting on that so that the girls and the women who are not that much politicized and they're not into the politics, they could be convinced, go and exercise your authority, exercise your right to bring in people, those who can those who can serve in your life better. So that is one thing. The second thing is that the areas where the information technology is not there, media is not there. I think the law that has come, that the election commission says that if the voter turnout is less than 10% in the women polling booths, those elections will be considered null and void. So I think that has brought the candidates to let women come out, because
Right.
they believe that if this compulsion is not there, they believe that if the election is null and void, they have spent a huge money on this election and this all exercise will be of no use.
Right. Sorry, I'll have to interrupt you there. Secretary ECP is addressing.
बताना चाहता हूँ कि चूँकि आज एक सियासी जमात ने पहले मुस्लिम लीग नवाज़ ने और उसके बाद एक और पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने फरदुल्लाह बाबर साहब ने दरख्वास्त दी पोलिंग का टाइम बढ़ाने की। इलेक्शन कमीशन ने उस दरख्वास्त के ऊपर ये फ़ैसला फरमाया कि टाइम नहीं बढ़ाया जाएगा, ताहम जो अहाते में लोग मौजूद होंगे और जो लोग कतारों में खड़े होंगे उनका वोट डलवाया जाए। ये नोटिफिकेशन जारी कर दी गई और ये हुक्म भी जारी कर दिया गया। लेकिन अभी चंद मिनट पहले चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने इसके अंदर इसका नोटिस लिया है और मुझे भी हुक्म दिया है और उन्होंने चीफ इलेक्शन कमीशन साहब को भी टेलीफोन किया है कि इस चीज़ को इंश्योर किया जाए कि कोई वोटर जो पोलिंग स्टेशन के बाहर है वो मिस ना हो, यानी कि चाहे वो अहाते में आए, चाहे वो बाहर कतार में खड़ा हो, उसको हम उससे हर एक वोटर से वोट डलवाएं। चुनांचे मैं फौरी तौर पे मैं आपके ज़रिए से तमाम अपने इलेक्शन के अमले को, तमाम रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर्स को ये अर्ज करूँगा कि इस चीज़ को इंश्योर करें कि किसी वोटर को वापस ना जाने दें और उनसे वोट डलवाएं। मैं एक दफ़ा फिर वो अहलकार, वो सिक्योरिटी के इदारे, चारों सूबों के IG साहबान, वो फ़ौजी जवान जो पोलिंग स्टेशनों पे ड्यूटी देते हैं, उनको मैं ख़ास तौर पे उनको ये कहता हूँ कि बाहर जो लोग पोलिंग के लिए हाजिर हैं, ख़वातीन ख़ास तौर पर कतारों में हैं, उनको वोट डलवाएं, उनको फैसिलिटेट करें और जितने भी इस वक्त वोटर उसके बाहर मौजूद हैं उनसे वोट डलवाने के अंदर उनको किसी किस्म की दुश्वारी ना हो। वक्त नहीं बढ़ा रहे हैं, लेकिन उनको तमाम को वोट डालने के लिए, जैसा कि अभी जस्ट नाउ मैंने आपको अर्ज़ किया कि चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने फरमाया है कि उनको इलेक्शन कमीशन फैसिलिटेट करे और इंश्योर करे कि हर वोटर वोट डाल के घर वापस जाए। इसके लिए मैंने सूबाई इलेक्शन कमिश्नर्स को पहले ही अभी हिदायत करके आया हूँ और मैं अभी तमाम IG साहबान को भी मुतला कर रहा हूँ और इसके अलावा सिक्योरिटी एहलकारों को भी। शुक्रिया जी।
सर आप इस पोजीशन में हैं कि 2013 के इंतखाबात को
अभी मैं
2018 से कंपेयर करें, अमनो अमान के हवाले से, टर्न आउट के हवाले से, इंतजामात के हवाले से।
इस वक्त मैं टर्न आउट के हवाले से कोई तखमीना इसलिए नहीं देना चाहता हूँ कि बहुत कबल वक्त है, लेकिन मैं ये समझता हूँ कि इंतजामात बहुत अच्छे थे। हर जगह से हमें अच्छे इंतजामात की इतला मिली है। अगर कहीं कोई बदनज़गी हुई है, अगर हमारी वजह से हुई है, मैं उसके लिए माजरत खा हूँ, लेकिन मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि 2013 के मुकाबले में इलेक्शन यकीनन बहुत बेहतर, ज़्यादा मुनज़्ज़म और हर लेवल के ऊपर बेहतरीन इलेक्शन नज़र आए। सिर्फ ये जो कोयटा का एक हादसा हुआ है उसको आप मामूली हादसा तो नहीं कह सकते, इतनी ट्रेजेडी हुई। लेकिन मैंने आपको याद होगा कल भी आपकी खिदमत में अर्ज़ किया था कि हमें थ्रेट्स अभी भी मौजूद हैं। मैं जब भी कहता हूँ आप लोग समझते हैं शायद ये ऐसे कह के चला जाता है। हादसा हुआ, उसी दुश्मन ने अटैक किया, अल्लाह मेहरबानी करेगा ये जमहूरियत का सफ़र जारी रहेगा। ये मैंने आपसे फौरी बात की है, आपसे अभी आज रात बात होती रहेगी, हमारे रिजल्ट्स आने शुरू हो जाएंगे और शायद आ रहे। शुक्रिया जी, थैंक यू।
That was Secretary Election Commission Babar Yaqoob addressing media, and he was talking about the Election Commission's decision not to extend the polling time. However, he said the ECP will be facilitating all the voters who have arrived at the polling stations, and all of them will be facilitated by the polling staff and the army personnel present at those polling stations, and they will be allowed to cast their votes. The Secretary Election Commission also condemned the attack in Quetta and said that these elections have been more smooth and will be more transparent as compared to the previous elections, as the ECP has done its best with regards to the arrangements and the preparations made for these general elections. Continuing our discussion, of course, as we see that the Election Commission has facilitated all the voters who are currently present at the polling stations. However, a lot of political parties had earlier requested for an extension. Do you see that in any way the demand of an extension being rejected by the ECP is going to affect any political party positively or negatively? Because of course there has to be a conclusive time for the polling to end. But we see that a lot of political parties had requested for the extension. PTI had it and said they don't require to. Other parties also said the same. Do you think it has a major impact on the results?
I think the Chief Justice of Pakistan has taken cognizance of this matter, and the directions are landmark. It's a landmark what he's pointed out. Firstly, the order of the ECP not to increase or extend the polling time has been respected by the Superior Judiciary. At the same time, they have provided a redressal mechanism for the political parties who were saying that because the process has been slow, there would be people gathered outside the polling stations who would return to their homes without having cast their votes.
Right.
I think that has been remedied.
Right.
So no political party in Pakistan after this would be able to complain that the ECP has not provided them with an adequate remedy, because the same is being provided for now. And I think this is as free and fair as elections get.
Mr. Imtiaz, also in terms of the voter turnout, it has been said that the sort of the makeup of the voter turnout and the number of people who will actually turn up to cast their votes will perhaps favor some political parties. Is that true?
Well, actually, you see that this is a very common phenomena of people, that in the morning they feel that the whole day is left, and they will go and they will cast their vote, and there's ample time left, and they have no hurry. And you see that generally the turnout is enhanced in the afternoon in every election, if you see that, because first half of the day is generally in routine, people coming and either early in the morning or you see in the afternoon.
Right.
Then there is more turnout. I must appreciate, as Usama has appreciated the decision of Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan, because there is an opportunity, and there was you see already ruled that if the voters are inside the premises, they are allowed even after expiry of that voting time. But he has added one thing, that if they are standing in queues even outside, and they should also be given opportunity. So I guess that now Election Commission's responsibility is there, because there can be some type of, you see, allegations, counter allegations on that these people were not in queue and they were added later on, and these type of things can happen. So the election commission staff should ensure, and the security forces staff should ensure, who are providing security outside the polling stations, that they should have some type of cutoff, you see, of the queues, that further people should not add in that.
Right.
Otherwise the decision which has been turned out by the election commission not to extend the time, that will have no meaning, you see. So this area is where the election commission has need of more monitoring and more responsibility in order to avoid any type of, you see, allegation from any quarters of the political parties.
We also see that a lot of people have commented on the fact, Mr. Qamar, that there's a 3-tier security system in which you are checked at various points at the polling station, which also caused a delay in the polling process. But do you see the overall security arrangements by the ECP as being satisfactory and perhaps even necessary for the conduct of free and fair elections?
Well, I think definitely these security measures have been taken, because looking at the situation which happened back in 2013, where the situation was really upsetting for it created uncertainty for many political parties and its leadership, because they couldn't even go for their election campaign. But this time, I think those measures were necessary to be taken, because at the end of the day, it is the job of the state to provide the security to the candidates and to the civilians and to the people as well. So I think that was necessary, one thing. But definitely, if the security had been beefed up in the morning, that was because they should have taken some sort of measures in which the process should have been swift, or there should have been more staff, so that this procedure of casting the vote, it is more fast. If it is taking 10 minutes, it should be reduced to 5 minutes or 6 minutes or 4 minutes, because that is the only way where the staff could ensure the voter turnout to be higher. Because last time we had this 55% voter turnout back in 2013, and that was the highest in Pakistan's election history.
Right.
So I think that's the only way. The highest voter turnout is the only way where the people can believe the democratic setup is good. This setup must be respected, and this setup must be appreciated, and the political leadership would get confidence. And I think that was because of that high voter turnout in 2013 that the third party like PTI emerged. So I think that security was much needed, but there should have been sort of a training, or they should have some sort of an understanding among the security forces that the process should have been fast. But definitely, in urban zones it is difficult, but in the villages or in those places where this number of people who were coming for the vote, that was less. So definitely it would have been a different experience at different levels. These both gentlemen, and even you and everyone who casted, those who went to cast the vote, they had different experience. Somewhere it was fine, somewhere it was beefed up. So there were mixed messages coming from across Pakistan as far as security.
Like you said, everyone had different experiences. According to our reports, a lot of voters had commented on the fact that perhaps the polling staff wasn't trained enough, because they were taking a lot of time, and each person took about 20 to 25 minutes. I had the same experience. It took me about the same time. Of course, that is how much it took. We'll continue our discussion on that. We will now, of course, break a news right now, which the DG ISPR has said, and he has thanked fellow Pakistanis that the world has seen love and respect for the Pak Armed Forces. Today, this is a message by the Major General Asif Ghafoor of the ISPR, who has said and has been grateful towards the people of Pakistan for the kind of response that they have shown, the love and respect that they have shown to the Pakistan Army. He has thanked all the fellow Pakistanis and has said that the entire world has seen the love and respect that the people of Pakistan shared for the armed forces. This is a message by DG ISPR, Major General Asif Ghafoor, who has said that the people of Pakistan have rejected all kinds of malicious propaganda and have shown the world their love and respect for the army. He said that we are strong because we have the unflinching support of the people of Pakistan, and that their lives are dedicated to the benefit of the Pakistanis. What we were talking about earlier, of course, was the fact in terms of the ECP's arrangements and the polling staff being trained to conduct. Of course, everyone had their own different experiences. Do you think that and a sufficient amount of time and training had been given to the polling staff, and that these delays are normal and to be experienced in the elections?
This is very, you see, usual, because generally most of the staff which is borrowed from different departments, they are not full-time employees of the ECP. So mostly from education departments, teachers and other departments, civil departments, and they are engaged and they are given this task of conducting election under the supervision of Election Commission. And of course that the Election Commission, they try to conduct different courses, short courses, training and the activities, and practically perform the activity of how they have to control and how they have to facilitate the voters to cast their vote. So sufficient training, I guess, have been given to all this staff. And with the passage of time, as I have earlier said, that this is the third time elections, and most of the staff is the same. Maybe some people will have been added more who are new in the staff, and they have maybe first time experience of conducting elections. But in general, I have went to the polling station, and I cast my vote, and the staff was fully trained, and I did not find any type of lack of training among them, and they were very professional. They were conducting
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right. We'll move on to Karachi now, where our correspondent Geti Anis will be updating us regarding the situation in the city after polling time is ended. Yes, Geti, what details can you give us regarding what is going on at the polling stations and how many people are still there after polling has concluded?
It has been quite a day for all of us. We are still, in Karachi and in eastern district of Karachi, which is Karachi East, and polling time has come to close finally. It's 6 o'clock on the dial, and this was the time given by ECP for the voting, for casting the vote. This was the time. So basically, all the people who are already inside would be allowed to cast their vote as per the conditions and rules and regulations issued by Election Commission of Pakistan, but no new voter would be allowed to go inside the premises. The day here has been quite interesting and quite eventful, but it has been thankfully very peaceful, I would say, and we did not report or seen anything that was unusual or which could disrupt this electoral process in any way. And the turnout, if you ask me, has been it's been like different in different areas, but overall it has been encouraging. I won't say that it was overwhelming in the areas and the polling station we visited, but it somehow picked up pace all during the day. As the day proceeded. In the morning, we were expecting that it was a public holiday. It is Karachi, and Karachiites are not known for being early risers either. So it slowly picked up pace, and around 3 or 4 o'clock, it was in full swing, and after that, there have been a very smooth, you can say, decline in the flow of the voters who were coming to polling stations. The women have participated very well. If you notice, and there was no such discrepancy, or you could not say that men have come out to vote, but women have fully participated. Being the largest metropolis of Pakistan, of course, we expected it, and Karachi has definitely proven that its women are very independent and would go and vote for whomever they think is good for their country. This has been a quite eventful day, as I earlier said, and security was all very much satisfactory. We did talk to some people. We did not come across anything that was unusual or would say which we could name as security lapse. There was no such act or event that we noticed. So it has been, I think, a good day as far as voting was concerned in Karachi.
Right. Thank you very much, Geti, for updating us and giving us a comprehensive overview of the situation in Karachi since morning. Continuing our discussion, if we talk about the candidates who are standing up this time around, we see a large number of independent candidates are standing up. We see a large number of non-Muslim candidates also taking part. We also see transgenders who are also taking part in the elections for the first time. Ms. Tegama, how do you see the fact that such a different candidate list has come out, and of course we see a lot of small parties, a lot of youth also coming forward and taking part in the political process of the country? How does that dynamic affect the general political scenario of the country?
I think that is a different position, and that is the different shape, and that is the different image of Pakistan, which we actually want to show, the pluralism, that everybody, no matter who you are, your religion, your caste, your creed, whoever you are, that doesn't matter. But all that matters is that you participate in a process that helps you to come into power, or that helps you to bring a difference in others' life.
Right.
So I think that is something that is really appreciable. As far as we have seen that since last few years, with the rise of social media and with the rise of new political parties in Pakistan, this electioning process in Pakistan has been very fast. New things have been introduced, new ways have been introduced. People have been very fast in terms of dealing with the electorates, and people who are contesting, they have been dealing, or they have been conducting, or they have been coming up with the new ways to convince the voters to vote for them. So I think this is something very interesting. And at the same time, what matters at the moment is that the people in Pakistan, they have established, or they have realized that the only system of governance is the democratic setup we need. There had been confusion in this country that either we have to go for the Sharia, we have to go for the democracy, where we have to go. So this uproar in this country that we have to go for democracy, we have to bring change through institutions. Even, the most important factor I mentioned earlier, even that the right-wing Islamic parties in this country, which never believed in democracy, or they never believed in the power of the parliament, they never believed in constitution. They always thought that there would be some sort of a Sharia with an abstract shape. So they have realized this is the power of the parliament, power of the constitutions. If we have to bring in change, we have to go to the parliament. So I think this is the success of the people of Pakistan. This is the success of Pakistan's constitution, and the struggle of Pakistan that has been going on since last 70 years, that we have to bring change. So I think this momentum has been built, and different political parties, even in Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, everywhere, they have come with the new ways to enhance the power, or to convince people that how better they can serve the masses.
Of course, the fact that the democratic values are being upheld by the people of Pakistan is quite evident, and especially with the fact that these elections were conducted and were done on time as well. But the sort of pluralism that we were talking about in terms of the candidates who are standing, do we really see that in terms of the way voters also make their decisions for who to vote for? Osama, if you look at the fact that whatever manifestos or narratives any political party or candidate puts forward, is that really taken into consideration, or do party loyalties in fact play a stronger role?
This time round, I did see the campaign, at least in Islamabad, and what I've seen is that the people have become more aware. People are deciding what's best for them, as opposed to what the parties are trying to pitch to them, or what they're trying to sell to them. As far as you live in the city, you are being well provided for by the local administration. But the moment you step out towards the rural side, the situation is completely different. Living in Islamabad, you step out of D12, there's a place called Shah Aladita, you step out there, it's a completely different world.
Right.
You will not find a proper paved road. Drinking water is apparently not present. People actually have to walk miles to go and get water. They don't have access to natural gas.
And we have these problems in
it's all
major
across
parts in Pakistan.
Yes. Absolutely. These problems are there, and I think that the people have become more aware. They have been seeing what's been happening over the last 5 years. They know that they need to choose the right people who will promise them, and they will actually abide by their promises and bring about the required change. That is what I have personally, from my experience, seen on the ground. I don't know what your experiences are or what their experiences are.
Right.
But generally, I feel that people are, it's less about loyalty to the party, more about what's good for them, what's good for the country.
In terms of the services that you have mentioned, and of course the necessities that are that should be provided to the citizens of Pakistan, this has been a part of a lot of political parties' manifesto. A lot of them have been on the same page for most of them, with the PTI emphasizing on change, the PPP emphasizing on fighting extremism, and the PMLN talking about tackling the energy, and all of them combined have spoken against corruption and to, of course, deal with the water crisis in the situation. Do you think that voters in general will take a look at the fact of how these parties have performed in terms of providing these services in the past 5 years, and then actually make their decision towards voting?
As we have seen during the award of tickets, you see that we have seen that even the party workers, they challenge their leadership about the decision of the awarding of tickets, especially in PTI and in PMLN. That was very visible, and even people and workers from their parties, they protested against the decisions of leadership, and they also arranged sit-in.
Right.
So this is indicating that, as Osama has said, that actually the people know, they are more aware, and they want to see that what is good in their own interest. So if they have joined some party, I'm not talking about 100% people, but most of the people, and especially youth, they joined the party based upon the reason that knowing that this party is good for them, and this party will safeguard their interests. And the problem in Pakistan, which are very alarming, you see, especially economical problem and water shortage, and you see that unemployment, industries, which is also, you see, closing the industries, textile and other areas, and we have a problem of utilities, like less gas we have problem of you see, infrastructure, we don't have that. So now the time has come, and I must say that this is not a new thing which is happening in Pakistan. This happens everywhere. In Europe and developed countries, this passed around maybe 50 years back or 70 years back, which we are passing through that phase now. And with the passage of time, people are understanding this, and especially the youth, which is educated youth, they have felt attraction in the politics, and they have practically participated in that. So this is good sign and positive sign, and I'm very much hopeful that this will bring Pakistan to the brilliant side of you see, country, and there will be no compromise on the leadership, on the representatives, if they will not perform. And you see that during this election campaign, we have seen on media many incidents that when the elected representative of that area, he visited for the campaign, election campaign and electoral campaign in that area, people asked them that what he did and where he was, why he did not appear before. So no, this is, and even in rural area we have seen that.
Sure.
So even Southern Punjab, we have seen many, you see, this type of clips on media. So this is changing world now, and the youth especially, they have more responsible and more proactive towards the solution of their you see, issues. And now in past, I have seen many times, and it was my observation, that if somebody has broken the queue, and he has some good influence and inside, and he bypassed that, and nobody bothered that. But now you see that if somebody bypass that thing and break the queue, the other people, they protest that, and they compel the people sitting inside who are providing services to those, that they should go by queue. So these are all, you see, awareness, and this has happened because of media.
Sir, with your permission, if I may add to this, there was one particular instance today. Justice Shaukat Siddiqui of the Islamabad High Court bypassed the queue, went to the presiding officer, and he was actually sent back.
Right.
Now, this is also unprecedented, as a sitting judge of the High Court being told to, you need to go and you need to abide by the rules and stand in the queue. So what you were saying, one thing I want to add there is, we should be thankful to the previous government for one amazing step that they have taken for this country, the long-awaited census, which was delayed by over a good decade. Now, that census took place, as a result of which you had revised stats coming forward, which formed the basis of the delimitations. And as a result of that delimitations, I think the change, you will start seeing it, because prior till the last elections, you knew that this was a defined territory, and people or two or three had their say within that area. With the amendment to the demographics, I think this is something which has also encouraged people that there is a ray of hope, and this will actually help them improve their quality of living. The utilities we were talking about, just one last thing I want to add here. Pursuant to your constitution, Article 9, these are all items which constitute the right to life. You cannot deprive any citizen of Pakistan from their right to life.
Right, and similarly, the fact that the distribution of resources and, of course, power to the provincial and regional areas of the country and the federal units, that is also an important factor. Do you think that that also factors in, especially after the census has been conducted, in terms of the voters looking into the parties who are actually working towards more power to the provincial or regional units of the country?
Well, I think actually the sense of democracy is going down deep. The devolution of power, the deconcentration of power, where actually the power goes deep down into the union council level or the village level and tehsil level, district level, division level. I think the political parties have been even, I would say, use a harsh word, damaging democracy in a way that they get power from federation to province, but they never deconcentrate power from province to division. That is where the real problem is. If the power from Islamabad goes to Peshawar or to the Lahore or Karachi, the power never goes down from Karachi to the other districts, tehsils and divisions.
Right.
That is the spirit of the democracy, and that is where I think if there is a National Finance Commission, there must be a Provincial Finance Commission, so that the provinces can get all that money. If the money is not being spent in Lahore, it must go into the other areas in particular province. So I think that is this. But unfortunately, since election, this local body, fortunately, this local body setup is the subject of the province to legislate on it. So all the 4 provinces have done legislation as it suits the power, it suits the ruling party.
Right.
So if there's it's a good legislation, then definitely the deconcentration of power and then the fiscal and administrative authorities will go down to every person. That is the essence of the real democratic process.
Right, and these and of course the utilities and the services that we were talking about earlier also are things that political parties talk about before elections. How seriously do you think that we can take their promises, considering the fact that the real accountability should it not come from the fact of whether they performed or not previously?
Well, I think there is no check and balance in that term. For example,
in terms of voting, of course, in terms of the voters' decision, shouldn't that ensure a sort of public accountability?
Yeah, I think I'm sort of talking about that the public do not forget that what happened in the last 5 years. They actually forget what they were promised. So the basic necessity of the public is, for example, having schools or colleges, university or infrastructure, something like that. So I think that is where the problem lies. The public now understands that they need more rights. If they will have more rights, that can give them more access to power or that can give them better infrastructure. That debate is yet to be in Pakistan, and unfortunately, we don't have that debate. It will come as this procedure goes on. So I think unfortunately, the political parties gave their manifestos 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago before the election. Even every party gave their manifesto after when the month was started.
Right, it was too soon to the election.
So I think the people in general, they never understand what the manifesto is. They only believe or they only realize what the man says from his tongue.
Especially in terms of rallies.
So all that manifestos, that is for the international audience or for the media, and the people generally, they read manifestos less.
Do you think that manifesto just sort of stays on paper and is never really translated into a reality later, Osama?
Unfortunately, that's how it's been in Pakistan so far. In one of your previous programs, we actually discussed one day why a manifesto is required. So technically, because people don't have access to the leadership reaches out to people, tells them that these are the problems that we have faced or the country has faced over the last 5 years.
And this is
how we intend to tackle them. And I think a manifesto should be read by each and every person who actually steps out to cast their vote. Surprisingly, even candidates who are running for parliament don't even know what their party's manifesto states. I think we're going through a process of evolution, and these things will become much more this will strengthen. As it was pointed out that people tend to forget what promises were made to them. That is why you have a manifesto. This time around, I've actually seen certain parties making manifestos which were focused and concentrated towards individual UCs of their area, so union councils. So when they actually reach out to people, they are telling them that this is what we intend to do for your area, in addition to what we want to do for the rest of the constituency. So I think it's a process. Slowly and gradually, we'll get there. Also talking about the devolution, you know, the beauty of the devolution process is that the smaller units raise the money and it actually goes up. In Pakistan, so far the money trickles down. So we require time, maybe another 10, 15 years before we have a process of devolution which is truly reflective of the power of the people.
Right, quickly, we're just going to take a look at the aftermath and the possible result of the elections, Mr. Imtiaz, because we're short on time. There have been largely predictions of the fact that there may be a coalition government which will be most likely, which is formed. In terms of a weak coalition government or a stronger one, how do you think it impacts particularly the economy of the country and also the political scenario? What do you think will be?
At this moment, because the situation and circumstances we are facing, you see that, and problems we are facing, especially economical problems and other problems we have already mentioned. I think that strong government will be more suitable for the country, because they have to take, you see, some strong steps, and they have to bring out of these issues to the nation. And I must add a little bit, only one sentence, that if we have to strengthen more democracy in Pakistan, already we have gone, but for that we need strengthening of basic democracies. And we have to take all these democratic things to root level, because the common problems which people are facing, those are small problems which have to be addressed by the local democracies.
Right. Thank you very much for those comments. That was our special transmission. We'll take you now to the bulletin. I hope that all of you have cast their votes. It's now time to see what the results were. Thank you for joining us.